Well, I just want to put this out because, you know, a lot of people are very envious of the elite, or whatever you want to call them, the top echelon, the fraction of 1%. But don't be so, because just to get right to the point, from my understanding, and this is from my personal experience, and they got their own problems, man. And really what it comes down to is, we used to call it the BBBS, the big bucks BS that gets around them. And basically somebody's always trying to sell them something. They may be smart in knowing how to make money in a certain area or make money in general, but they seem to get BS'd by so many other people around them. And it could be various things. It could be their family, it could be their wives, it could be their doctors, it could be anybody giving them advice on health or anything else. You know, people will go in there sometimes that are like, you know, natural practitioners of health, and they'll bill them $5,000 up front, which, you know, they consider chump change. That would be a lot of money for somebody else, and they'll overcharge them on supplements and vitamins and things like that. And, you know, maybe they're giving them semi-decent advice, but they're probably not getting the best advice. And then, of course, there's famous examples like Angelina Jolie, who has a double mastectomy because of this minuscule chance she might get breast cancer, you know. Now, I don't know, you know, I really don't follow Angelina Jolie, but I remember that story. If, you know, I don't watch any of her movies or anything like that, and I don't really give a damn, I don't hate her or nothing like that, but it's like she's been a victim. She got a lot of money, so she got victimized by doctors, in my opinion. But, you know, the truth is actually a lot simpler out there, and if they can't bill for it, they can't charge a lot of money for it, they just simply will not say the truth. And that is exactly why the elite get victimized. And I look at people like George Soros and Warren Buffett. You know, they look like fossils, to tell you the truth. They look like they're going to fall apart. I don't expect to be anything looking like that when I'm their age, at any respect at all. And they can keep their damn money. Well, I like money, but damn it, I would not trade billions for what the situation they are in, you know, as far as health-wise, and what they're fossilizing as, you know. But, you know, the problem is, you know, somebody, even a woman who goes to you know, has a lot of money, they'll get victimized by these people that are laser surgeons. You know, they can remove, you know, splotches on their skin, blotches, you know, wrinkles on their face and stuff. And there's all these natural ways to do it, but there's no money in it. There's no money in it. So, you know, it's almost like the BBS, BBBS, the big bucks BS gets around these people. It's like they believe you if you charge them $1 million up front in fees, and then they believe you. They'll bite then. It's almost like you got to throw, like, this is the exclusive thing, talk cute a certain way. I'm very familiar with this kind of garbage, and they believe it. You know, that's how they are, and they're idiots. So, you know, sometimes people are very envious of the elite. Don't be. Actually, a lot of stuff you get on this channel here, you know, actually some of the videos I put out here on alternative health and things like that are probably going to be far more important to you than any kind of financial wealth you ever gain by being in the right spot due to a future currency problem, or global currency problem. You're probably going to gain more by that than anything. You know, I actually want to go over a couple things because, you know, actually, what I'm going to say, you know, what I do personally, I work out, you know, I was working out 3 hours a day. Now I'm working out 2 hours a day. You know, that's plenty. You know, well, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. One day I take off. I was working out seven days a week, 365 a year, at least 3 hours. And actually got down to a body fat of 7 to 8% when I was like in my 50s. And, you know, it's almost like it was a little bit too excessive, so I just backed off on it. I don't know if I want to go back into that again. I may or may not. But what I have been doing is 1 hour of the Lukowski coil, the portable version of it. Also 40 minutes of the Beck BioTuner device. I think all these things actually helps my mental alertness and actually helps my perception on reading events in the major media and actually interpreting them correctly, because I don't read any of those conspiracy blogs. I don't read any of the crap that the silver pumpers put out, gold bloggers and, invest with me, and I know this angle and all this kind of crap. Because, you know, I could tell you the truth. I could tell you a lot of stories about stuff that I can't tell you about. How's that? And I can tell you the one thing. The real elite, the guys with the real money, they're like vaporware. They don't want public attention. There's money out there that's, you know, there's money out there that's actually very big. They would be the very top people on Forbes list, and they're not listed on Forbes list even anywhere. There's multi-billionaires. And a lot of them aren't in this country, and I'm aware of this type of stuff. And I could say, I don't want to even say that much, because I don't even want to draw too much attention to myself, because if anybody freaking tries to grill me on this, I'll just say I was full of shit. You know, I won't say it, but I do know a lot. Anyway, I want to get into something about, you know, something that the elite would know, and, you know, some of these Chinese herbs. You know, one of the things the elite want is a long life, to be mentally alert, feel good, and all this type of stuff. I mean, that's the human nature, isn't it? Now, I take a lot of different vitamins and supplements, and I actually take all whole food vitamins and things like that. Besides the 2 hours of exercise, besides doing an hour of the Lukowski coil, 40 minutes, and I do 7 or 8 hours of the blood electrification of the Bob Beck unit overnight. I mean, I don't know anybody doing all this crap, so, you know, maybe I got chi energy up the yin-yang. Who the hell knows, man? I got loads of it. But, you know, there's a thing out there, I actually have this written down because I don't follow this. It's an expensive way to get something. Well, there's a supplement out there. I'm just going to kind of knock it a little bit. It's called T65. T65 is something maybe that might be sold to big bucks people. Well, it's not that expensive, but it's more expensive than getting it the natural way. What it's supposed to do is lengthen the telomeres on the chromosomes, which actually will give you more anti-aging, right? And the cheap way to do it is just get astragalus. Old ancient Chinese root, one of the top roots out there. And I'll mention some of the other roots, the other herbs that are really the mainstays of Chinese medicine. Let's say maybe the top 6. The other ones are cinnamon, and I put something out on cinnamon and honey. Very good combination. That's another, but people know about cinnamon. Goji berry, people know about goji juice. You know, people know about ginseng. A lot of people know about that. A lot of people know about ginger. Ginger's another very important one. And hawthorn berry. And a lot of people don't know about that. It's good for the skin, varicose veins, and things like that. You know, like in other words, maybe all these people that need these operations to get rid of these varicose veins, if they're taking hawthorn berry, it's good for your heart, your it's good for your circulatory system, your veins, and, you know, varicose, getting, you know, basically not having varicose veins. But astragalus extract is very good for several things. It actually gives you chi, the life energy, okay? Now, I take 2 or 3 of these a day. I'm probably going to go up to about 6 or 8 of them. Actually, you could take about 6 of them. I was reading about this, you know. So, and it's like, this one actually probably don't need it. Another version, and you could take 6. This might be about 4, because this is powerful stuff. This is 1,000, what is it, MCG? Yeah, mg, milligrams, mg. The other one is 470. You could take up to 6 of those. You could take 6 of those, no problem. This might be a few of them, or 3 or 4. But I'm actually going to up my dosage of astragalus root because, you know, it's one of many things I take, actually. And, you know, I think I showed, like, some of the herbs I take. There's, like, I don't know, I have maybe a couple hundred different types of supplements that are natural and herbal, but I don't take all of them every day. But I've been discovering that astragalus root is probably one of the more important ones. It's definitely one of the top 6 in Chinese medicine. And the other ones in Chinese medicine, like I mentioned, like goji berry, ginseng, ginger, hawthorn berry is even kind of known, and cinnamon are more well known. Astragalus root is not, but it's anti-aging, antiviral. It also improves life energy, and it's a less expensive way than getting the T65, which is in this root, than buying T65, and it's probably more effective, you know, in a cheaper way too. So, you know, a lot of times, will the elite bite on this? Do they know about this? No, they're too damn busy. They're too damn busy, man. They go out to a restaurant, and maybe somebody's spitting in their food because they resent this rich guy or rich woman sitting with all their money and talking all this garbage, and they're paying a lot of money for the meal. Who the hell knows, right? You're better off being a simple and low profile in a lot of different things. So actually, my point on this is they actually don't resent the elite because they're idiots. They're idiots. They basically, as long as you want to be very much a workaholic, I would say that, and keep going forward in your your endeavors or whatever they may be. But it's like I guess that's the fatal flaw of any average person that gets money, is like they have to show they have money. They have to show off. It goes right to their freaking head, and they have to show they have money by spending money and showing other people how much money they have, and they lose all their money. Whereas you should not be that way. You should actually be cheap and economical, or let's call it shrewd economics, not cheap economics, not stingy, because there's always a price that somebody could sell you something that they still have a profit on it, but that's your level, that's your price mark, if you get my drift on that. But a lot of times the information I'm putting out here, no elitist is looking at my videos. I don't think. I doubt it. And some of the stuff I'm putting out here about getting more life energy, extending life, anti-aging, general health, mental alertness, feeling better, more positive energy, that type of stuff, they ain't seen it. They ain't seen it. Because, they have to, maybe some clown might freaking see my stuff and then present it to an elitist and charge him $10,000. As like, hey, I'm an expert on this, and put out a business card and all this kind of crap. And you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that play that game, but I don't play that game because I'm actually out for the average person, male and female. So anyway, but actually, if you are a female and you're looking at this, and you're actually looking into, there's a lot of videos I actually have on skin beauty, anti-aging, and stuff like that. I know a lot of stuff on this garbage, man. I researched the hell out of this junk. It's almost like a game. It's almost like an interest. This root is probably one of your more powerful roots. This one is 1,000 mcg. You probably, if you took milligrams, 1,000, and it's an extract, probably like 4 of these a day would be plenty. Maybe 3 would be plenty. There's other ones out there that aren't the extract. They're 470 mg. You could take 6 of those. 3 times a day, 2 capsules a day, and what that does is it not only brings up your immune system, but it helps lengthen or preserve and actually lengthen the telomeres on your chromosomes, so when your cells divide, they don't lose the information, and that in fact actually turns anti-aging. But it also brings up your cellular energy. But when you're combining all this stuff with, the Lakovsky coil, you're combining it with the blood electrification Beck Zapper unit, and you're combining this with the Soda Instruments biotuner and other things like that, and very good healthy food and lots of exercise. I can tell you right now, I can't tell the difference between I'm not 60 quite, but I'm getting there, pretty damn close. I can't tell the difference between that and 1820. I can't tell the difference. Not at all. Not at all. It seems like my energy's through the roof. So, could an elitist say that? Probably not. Probably not. And I wouldn't want to be one of them, because, the best thing to do is, if you get loads and loads of money, is stay low profile. Because it's almost like, I almost put it, my personal aspect on this stuff with money, I almost go back to the old Roman general, Probus, and when he was, the emperor at the time, he never took any of the trappings of anything like where he would make himself look like something special. He looked like totally average in every respect. And actually, some of the best of them, like Julian, which they called him the apostate, who was actually known for persecuting Christians, even though he persecuted Christians, maybe justifiably so in some cases, he actually took it upon himself to be very humble and not be like, a god walking around like he's somebody. And, to tell you the truth, there are people out there that have more money than what's on the Forbes list. I know there's people, well, I can even say there's Russians, all right, Russians, but I also know there's people in Canada that aren't Russians, and also people in South America that have more wealth than I see even on the top 5 of the Forbes list, in the top, when they're talking about the most global wealth, that I know that they have just in physical assets. Just in physical assets. And I may discuss a little bit more of it. I actually put some videos out on it before. But obviously those type of things go over people's heads. And, it's almost like you almost got to talk about the lizard people and the drama and the Rothschilds and all this kind of garbage, and people bite. But, the elite don't want a lot of attention. But don't envy the elite. Don't envy the elite. They got a lot of problems, man. They got a lot more problems than you think. Because it's like the whole game with them is secrecy to the max. It is. It is. The one thing I don't like about some of those clowns is that they will not want you to have something if they could stamp you out. They're almost, some of them are very, from my understanding, from what I got exposed to, are extremely spiteful to the fucking max. I'll put it that way. They are. They can be. They can be. That's the one thing. But as far as, them advertising what they have, they're like vaporware, man. They're vaporware. There's a lot of shit that goes on that a lot of people don't know about. So, anyway, just want to put this out because don't be envious of them, because what they usually are victimized by is the people around them. And, I was always a dedicated player. But I don't want to say anything about my background or anything like that, but there's people that I may be a word for, they think they know everything about me. They don't know. They don't know everything. They don't know all the pieces that I know. They don't know. But the thing is, their problem is they don't really know if the people around them are going to stick them in the back at any time. They don't know. Me, I'm a very dedicated player. I don't play that kind of shit. That's one thing. That's one thing. So I don't play that kind of game. That's why I'm not going to ever mention shit about who the hell it is or what. I mentioned some of the crap about the Russian oligarchs and stuff, but I don't really like them too much. But I don't freaking mention any names. I don't mention names, and I don't give any specifics out. But, I get disgusted about these clowns. I'm just kind of digressing here, but I get disgusted about these clowns out here on the internet that think they know something about the elite. They don't know shit. They don't know shit. That includes pastors, too. But that's not just pastors. There's a load of them out there. Anyway, over and out. Just don't be envious of the elite. There's a lot of stuff that I'm telling you, the average person, male and female, that they don't know. They don't know, and they'll never will know. And if they even get a part of that truth, it's going to cost them major bucks by some bullshit artist, and then they're going to be too busy to do it anyway. So, it's all about life, energy, health, and healing. That's probably your number one thing versus money, even though you want to have a lot of money too.